Now you're
Welcome
good.
back to the Transplating Podcast. My name is Bear, joined by the lovely Daphne with her America earrings.
I'm like, oh, that's the
They
wrong
look
camera.
cute.
Here's the right camera.
They look cute.
Today is just a cluster
Mm-hmm.
of whatever it is. So, thank you. Hello and welcome, everybody. Today we have an amazing interviewee. Let's go with interviewee. I don't know. Today we're interviewing Brittany Jones. She's running for governor of the state of Oregon. We're excited to have her here, and for me personally, it was a really exciting jump because we hadn't even released a first episode yet. We hadn't even recorded a first episode yet when you agreed to come on the podcast, and it was such a thrill for me that we could jump right into someone. I don't want to say as big. I don't know what the right words would be, but
I'm just
with
me.
notoriety. Anyway, BJ, or wow, I just went with it. Brittany's here. Well, thank you for coming, Brittany.
Thank you for having me. You guys have been busy already with 11 episodes.
Yeah.
Since approaching us. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild how quick they came. Like we started off and it was I didn't think we'd get people that would come in the way they did, but we've had just so many people reach out. Oh yeah, we want to. We've had some amazing experts come on the podcast and talk, and then going forward, I have some more really solid people lined up. We're booked out through December at this point. So, yeah, it's amazing. But it all started with you because I think you were the first person that agreed to come on the podcast. So, we're really excited to have you here. So you're running for governor. Can you give us a little bit of history about where you're coming from and what gave you a drive for politics?
Yeah, I don't mind at all. So there it is, the ums. I always say and I try not to. But so when Trump got elected, I actually decided I was going to run for president as soon as I was old enough. And I ran unaffiliated, which we all know the likelihood of an unaffiliated candidate getting into office, especially against people like Trump and
Right.
Biden and Harris. And so my team, we had a plan that if I didn't win in 2024, that we would run for a state level election. And we would run as part of a party. So as soon as I could, I registered the campaign committee, and I still have to declare myself a candidate. But with everything going on in America, I haven't been into politics for very long.
Okay.
I remember like the first time I voted was for Obama. But once I dove in, I found I'm passionate about it, or else I still wouldn't be in it. But it went from 0 to 60 really quickly. And I was like, I'm surprisingly good at this. And I also really hate politics. But I'm passionate about it. And I want to make change for my children, their children, like my friends' children, everybody's children. That's kind of a native belief too, is you do it for 7 generations in the future.
It happens. It happens.
I talk with my hands.
I do too. That's why my hands are always up here.
You do it for 7 generations into the future. And our environment is declining. Our human rights are being taken away. We're still in an act of genocide right here in America. And then we have genocides happening globally, like in Palestine.
Right.
And it's time for people to get into office that have the energy for change and who are living the discrepancies and who can see how to fix it and are not afraid to stand up and fix it.
Right.
And so I decided to go for it.
What genocides are you seeing here in America?
So the genocide against First Nations never stopped. Our treaties are constantly violated, almost, I would say daily. But there's the MMIW crisis, so that's missing and murdered Indigenous women, and that started up in Canada, the movement, and came down to America. Now you'll see MMIP groups as well for missing and murdered Indigenous people. And so that covers the men, the Two-Spirit, and everything like that as well.
Right.
And then we have, they just challenged ICWA during the last presidential election. ICWA was on the chopping block, and that's the Indian Child Welfare Act. And that keeps Native kids in Native communities. So they have their culture, their community, their practices. Because historically, Native children would be taken, put into churches, adopted out to white families to be indoctrinated.
Right.
And there's survivors of that still when they would
Right.
sell native children for $10. So, like, yeah. I think that that one of the survivors is 73.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So not that long ago.
Not that long ago.
Wow. So I take it that you're native then?
Yes, I am mixed. I'm Potawatomi, which is a tribe on the East Coast. I'm not enrolled. I always clarify that so nobody comes for me. But I am connected to my family who are enrolled, and I communicate with them frequently, learning my tribal history, my family's history, and just I need to go out there and visit and get the enrollment process started.
Right.
But for right now, I'm happy to be connected to them and be learning.
Very nice, very nice. So you said that originally you ran unaffiliated for president. Now you're running for governor. Where are you politically with that?
I'm running as a Democrat.
Okay.
I know the sigh. I actually have a petition up for transparency and accountability within the Democratic Party itself. When I do decide to be a part of something, I go for it. And I decided to be a part of the Democratic Party, and there's discrepancies and issues that I'm already facing as somebody going up against an incumbent, even though she has not even declared herself a candidate. She hasn't said she's going to run again. I'm talking about Tina Kotek.
We're calling it out.
Yeah. The DPO, the Democratic Party of Oregon, has already been violating their bylaws, has already been lying to my face about what they're supposed to do during campaigns and for candidates. And it's become a pattern of issues at events where my registration is lost or they deny me, and where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to, being a part of the Democratic Party, I think it's up to anybody in any community to hold their peers accountable. So within the Democratic Party, I'm going to do that.
Fair, fair. You said that you are running into obstacles with transparency, right? The rules keep changing, and there's different hurdles that you're having to jump through. If someone wants to run for governor or any office, really, what's the process like that?
The process itself is pretty simple. You set up your campaign committee, and that's what files, the treasurer is under there, the finances, that handles all of that. And then you have to do a candidate statement. If you're part of a party, it's only $100. If
Oh,
you're,
wow.
Yeah, and that gets you on the ballot. And then for an incumbent, I think it's $150. If you're unaffiliated, you have to get thousands of petition signatures. I think it's like over 20,000 signatures.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, to get on the ballot. It's extremely imbalanced.
What's the population like in Oregon?
Oh, God. I don't even know that number off the top of my head.
I was just trying to think about how hard it would realistically be to get 20,000 signatures. Not to put you on the spot.
I know. I don't know. I suck with numbers, so bear with me. But I know
No
that
worries.
I have a petition for accountability within the Democratic Party, and I've only had like 25 signatures. And that's with Democrats.
Wow.
So
20,000, it's a lot and a lot of
yeah,
work.
Yeah.
How do you go about getting signatures? You just going door to door knocking, or how do you go about that?
So when I was running for mayor years ago, to get the petition signatures, I actually snuck it into work and would ask the customers as they came in. Yeah. Got to do what you got to do.
You got to make the money.
And the state
Whatever
elections
works.
office will give you a form. It's an actual official form you have to use for petition signatures. You can make copies of it.
40,000 pages long.
You can't have duplicate signatures. They have to be a resident of Oregon. They have to put their address down so they can be verified as a resident of Oregon.
Right.
And so once you get your petition signatures submitted, then they have to be verified, and that takes time. So I think you have to get them in before the even like deadline for party candidates, because they have to have time to count them. So you have less time to get
Yeah.
on the ballot than somebody in the party.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, it seems like a lot of your time is, instead of focusing on your campaign, it's just spent getting signatures.
Exactly. So that's why we chose to run as part of a party to, give us the best chance at getting in office.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Today in politics, there is just a wild swing of things. It seems like parties are just becoming far more extreme, going any direction. How do you find leadership in that kind of chaos?
That's another good question. Because I've been trying to get leadership involved in movements, and it's like pulling teeth, which is why I'm a PLRC for District 50 in Multnomah
What's that?
County. It's like a representative that helps set up the convention and the platform for the Democratic Party for the year. And I just became the PLRC, and I've only been to one meeting so far. But at that meeting, they asked me, because in the convention where we were at, our county had a lot of energy and a lot of involvement and participation.
Yeah.
And so one of the older people there asked me if we could capitalize on that energy. And I was like, we can for change if you can get the trust of the younger voters back.
Right.
Because they're not seeing you out there. We're
Right.
marching, we're taking, getting hit by rubber bullets, pepper spray, and you guys are nowhere and you're quiet.
Yeah.
So if you want us, the younger generation, and you want to capitalize on the energy, you need to start stepping up and making yourself known, showing up to these places, stop ignoring emails and phone calls, be involved in the community. And even, sorry, Multnomah County Democrats, but I put out a call out because I did a delivery of supplies to the Protest and Ice, the little camp out there in downtown Portland. And I put out to the Multnomah County, they had just had a conversation about where the leaders are, how they can be more involved, what steps they need to take. And they were asking, well, what can we do? And I said, well, we need supplies. This is what we need. Only one person gave a box of sanitizer.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm going to be making weekly trips out there. So if you guys want to help, I'm telling you how. You asked how, I'm telling you how.
I mean, it's nice that you have a plan. A lot of people, I was asked yesterday on the radio, they go, how do we make change? And I go, I don't know that I necessarily have all the answers. So having leadership that has that makes a big difference. I know you were saying that a lot of the younger people aren't feeling heard. They're not feeling seen. And so they're not really engaging so much in the political parties necessarily. They're there for the movements, but not necessarily supporting parties of any kind. Mm-hmm. So one of the areas that we're seeing people not being heard much from, if at all, is the trans community. We're running into right-wing side of things. They're actively attacking transgender rights, and they're actively trying to silence. They're actively trying to silence
Did that get picked up on?
It did not.
Okay.
It did not. You're all good. So they're actively trying to silence trans people. How do you help trans people make sure their rights aren't violated, or is that even something that your platform stands for?
It definitely is. One thing that, same with my presidential campaign and this one, is safety for everyone. There's the genocide in Native communities. There's our women's rights are being taken away. Transgender rights are being attacked. Our pro-choice rights are being taken away and attacked. And we need someone in office who's willing to take a firm stance and say, no, these are the laws that protect these people. They are going to be enforced, because we're not seeing that. And that's why I decided to run as well, is to be that. I'm very stubborn and very hard-headed. You can threaten me. You can try to silence me. People are like, oh, they're just going to fight you in the legislature. I'm like, let them try. So what? At least I'm doing something.
Yeah, you're making a difference, making change.
And so making sure that, for me, freedom of speech covers transgender people and gender expression, because you have the right to self-expression under freedom of speech, and gender expression is a form of self-expression. So
I think there's a fair point there.
That's a constitutional protection that could easily be enforced statewide, nationwide, if the person in office actually cared to do so.
Makes sense. One of the things that we're seeing, governors are willing to stand up for things in their state, but standing up against Trump has not been something that you're seeing a lot of people do. That a lot of people are just cowering down because Trump is holding the financial paycheck over all these different states. How do you work with that?
I think that's where, people are like, you're poor and you're running for office. Da, 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 da. I think, honestly, being poor and knowing how to survive on almost nothing is a good skill to have. Because if I do get into office and they do pull federal funding, guess what? I know how to budget. I know how to survive, and we will survive this. We'll come together as a community. We'll provide our own funding, our own necessities, and we'll do what needs to be done to make sure that we're taken care of and safe.
That's fair. One of the things that we've been seeing is California, for example, Gavin Newsom, they went and made California a sanctuary state for trans people. And since then, Gavin Newsom has kind of pulled out of his stance for trans people. Is Oregon, is it part of your plan to make Oregon a sanctuary state for trans people? And if so, what does that look like?
Absolutely. Then, making it a sanctuary state means that healthcare will be available, that people say that you can't silence hate groups and hate speech, but it becomes hate speech, especially when it's inciting violence against people and, causing people to lose their job, causing people to lose their homes and not be able to feel safe, and being able to enforce that and stop the hate speech and the hate groups that are targeting transgender people and other groups as well.
Right.
Is a huge step in stopping the harm and making, because sanctuary is supposed to be safe. And if it's not safe, then it's not sanctuary. And that goes beyond laws and legislation, and it goes to actually keeping the people safe.
I love that. A lot of people just, I don't know, I guess it is just a title, oh yeah, look at us over here, we're the safe space, but it's not safe unless it's actually safe. I know Oregon has insurance laws specifically toward gender affirming care, where any insurance provider in the state is required to support and provide gender affirming care. The Trump administration right now is trying to take Medicaid and remove those kind of rights for trans people. How do you work with and I maybe I'm asking hard questions here. I don't know. But how do you work with, when the national funding is being cut for these programs, even though Oregon State mandates it? How do you work to find a balance there or to support it?
That's a very good question, and it is a hard question because the governor's powers are limited to state. Like, they're not. When the Civil War happened, states kind of lost their states' rights. They have to answer to the federal government so that a civil war doesn't happen again,
right?
Supposedly. And so it goes beyond the governor or any political office at that point. If that funding is removed, we have to rely on the community. At that point, we have to rely on doctors doing the right thing, and we have to be able to protect those doctors and make sure that people are covered for help in any way that we can find to make that happen, because it would be difficult without federal funding. That's to say it wouldn't be would be a lie.
So one of the things that I've heard mentioned is some states have been in talks about having trans people, or not trans people, but separating trans care from Medicaid, so that way they can still have access to Medicaid, but have like a totally different state-funded program specific for gender-affirming care. And I think New Mexico just became the first state in the country to have insurance available for medical insurance for everybody. Just, I don't know, what's the term there? What do they call that? Like a national health care, whatever, but it's a statewide health care.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So that's something that would have to go through like the state legislator, and they'd have to vote, because the governor doesn't have unilateral power.
Right.
There's checks and balances at the state level too, and that is absolutely something that I would be willing to advocate for on the state legislator on the floor, and be like, hey, this would be a great plan. And then, of course, we're like, well, where's the money? Well, there's plenty of places we could divert the money from to make sure that this happens.
Fair enough. How much power does the governor actually have when it comes to these kind of rights?
It's similar to the president. So the governor cannot introduce legislation to the floor. I'd have to find like a legislator to, hey, I wrote this bill. Can you put it out there? And if the legislator could be like, sure, and then they could put it on their desk and never do it. So we've seen that.
Politics in action.
So the governor cannot create new laws, and the governor can't like get rid of a law. The governor's power is enforcing those laws and running the state agencies, the state offices, like, the Department of Health within Oregon, those agencies, Department of Education, And once the governor can't even set the budget. They can approve the budget once it's set, and they can give suggestions for the budget. But that, again, goes to the legislative branch of the state level to say, hey, this is what the budget's going to be. Approve it. And I could always send it back, be like, no, we need more budget for this and less for this.
Right.
And they could work on it. But, we've seen the walkouts and the government closures because of disagreements like this. So it could be a battle, but it could not be, depending on who has majority.
How would you work with walkouts and closures?
I don't even know yet. I'm kind of a heavy-handed.
That's fair. And I didn't have it on the paper ahead of time.
No, that's fine.
It just came to me.
I do plan on initiating state of emergency as soon as I'm elected, because we have the housing crisis, we have the drug crisis, we have the treaties being violated for First Nations and the MMIW and the oil pipeline. So there's plenty of avenues to do a state of emergency, which does give the governor more power. And it's hard to say how far I could push that without actually being in office to say,
That's
hey,
fair.
you guys get back to work.
Is that so? Does the governor have the ability for like executive orders? Just sign it with a fancy pen and off you go?
Yes and no, like to direct the agencies underneath. Like we could do, hey, executive order, this is how you're going to operate now. For example, with the state of emergency, I would get control over state agencies, including the police department. So I could say, this is how you guys are going to operate now during this time. And then if they violate that, I could remove leadership from positions and replace them with people who are more for the people.
How is that different than what Trump is currently doing right now?
It's not really. It's just no one's willing to take that and stand against him. And, it is, to make a stand, you can't be afraid to take that stand.
Yeah.
And what he's doing it to harm people. Somebody needs to step up that's willing to do it to help people and protect people, instead of just letting him run rampant and do whatever he wants.
Where becomes the check in that, where people can determine if that actually is held versus somebody just pushing an agenda?
Just like, you see how the Supreme Court challenges him and says yes or no. Right now there's a Republican majority in a lot of those. In Oregon, it's the same thing. There's the Oregon Supreme Court and the legislator. There's checks and balances in there as well. And they can be challenged. Lawsuits can be brought to say, hey, this is unconstitutional. This is against the law. Stop doing this. And the court would make a ruling on that.
Yeah.
And then the governor would have to follow that ruling.
Fair enough. Kind of bringing things back, where do you see Oregon nationally? Like how do you see Oregon as they play in the national political role, I guess? I don't know. Maybe I just repeated myself a bunch.
Honestly, I've traveled to a lot of different states, and a lot of people don't even know about Oregon. They don't know where it's at. I'm like, it's between Washington and California. So on the political level, it's not really making a splash out there, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. It could let us make sure that Oregon is safe and get it set up to be an example of what could happen nationally. And then that could be getting our name out there in a good way, or we could allow it to keep deteriorating, and then a negative viewpoint would be out there.
Okay, fair enough. With rising polarization that we're finding, there's extreme lefts, there's extreme rights kind of coming into it. And Oregon has a fair mix of both. You have the east side and west side of the state, and they vary differently. How do you work with both sides there to make everybody happy? Or can you make everybody happy?
What is that? What's that saying about a good negotiation? No one's happy. Like when you find middle ground, there's concessions from each side.
Yeah.
So no one is happy. However, I have found that when you actually sit down and talk with somebody one-on-one, unless they're extremely hateful, you can pretty much find like common ground on
Yes.
an issue. One issue is all, hey, you know what? You don't like this, but you like this. I like that too. Let's go over that way with you. And that's kind of an individualistic approach. But then what we're seeing, Charlie Kirk was just assassinated, and it's a huge polarization.
Yes.
And what we're seeing is, you see the Democrats talking about gun violence, pushing for gun reform, political violence reform, all of that reform. And the right was really silent on it or even advocating for violence until this happened. And now the right, all of a sudden, stop political violence, stop, gun violence and all this stuff. So it's kind of like was such a triggering event that it almost shifted a viewpoint. And if the Democrats can actually see that and stop hating, because they're just as bad as the Republicans in some aspects, then we could actually have a bipartisan bill on gun violence.
Fair. You're running for or as a Democratic candidate. How do you unify your own party?
That's where accountability comes in. I can just feel the DPO party leadership rolling their eyes every time I'm like, send an email. But I've noticed with talking with the varying counties that when I start talking about what I'm experiencing in the party level for the state, they're like, oh yeah, that leadership is shady, or they've been doing this and this. There's a lot of discontent within the party on the county levels versus the state level. And so I plan on bringing the counties together, kind of undermining the state level a little bit. But it would unify the counties. And that involves the smaller towns and cities and places that are normally ignored, which is where a lot of this discontent comes from as well.
Yeah.
So being able to bring them together and form a coalition of sorts of the counties actually working together, this could bring that community sense to the Democrats again, because they'd actually have their leadership listening to them.
So how much time are you out traveling through the different counties then working with them versus spending it in the big cities?
Well, I've been working morning and night. We haven't had any donations come in yet for the campaign. So I've been emailing primarily. I do need to come to the Marion County Democrats office. I've been talking to the Josephine County way out in Eastern Oregon a little bit. Baker County reached out to me quite a bit ago, but that's mainly through TikTok. So once we have the funding in place, we want to take a bus or a motorhome or something and just go all around Oregon.
Tour bus.
Yeah.
I love that.
This is a terrible example, but how the Royals back in the day would do their tour of the go out there and actually go to these counties and listen to the people and visit the Democrat offices out there and be like, hey, we're here for you. And we actually have plans to connect you to the bigger cities so you won't be out here by yourselves anymore.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, it sounds like there's a decent plan anyway to make sure that everybody has a voice and that it's heard. You did mention TikTok. That's where I found you, and you are very active on TikTok.
Yeah.
It seems like every day I see new videos getting posted, or at least I get a new notification of another one. So you're very active there. How do people support your campaign if they want to?
Well, with TikTok on the verge of going away constantly right now.
Right.
I also have a Facebook page. I have an Instagram. I have my website. We are working on doing a mailing list on the website, but you have to pay for the website to get that option. And so we need campaign funds coming in, which is another thing we're working on, the grassroots organizing, because I call out corporations so much. I don't think they're going to want to support me.
Right.
So. Social media has been one of the biggest tools that I've found. I just, whenever one of my videos has views, whenever I get a notification, your video is going viral, I'm like, yes.
What's your most viral video?
Honestly, I think it's the one calling out Tina Kotek for banning cell phones in schools, because a lot of Republicans thought I was Republican. And so they were like, yes, turn Oregon red. And I was like,
red from embarrassment.
Yeah, I'm like, actually, I'm running as a Democrat. Oh, no, the Democrats have destroyed. I'm like, okay.
Save the phones.
Right. My thought, that goes to the school violence, though. They're like, just go to the office if you need to make a phone call. I'm like, yeah, well, what if there's a shooter and you get shot in the hallway trying to go to the office to use the phone to call your parent? I'm like, I'm sorry, if my child's in the middle of about to be...
Don't be a quitter.
I'm like, if my child is about to is afraid that they're going to get shot, is afraid that they're going to get shot I want to be able to be on the phone with them.
Yes.
Like, if I'm the last voice they hear, then I want their cell phones in school with them, because
Yes,
that
for
is
sure.
a reality that we have, and they should be able to have access to that.
How bad is gun violence in Oregon?
Ooh, I don't know the numbers on that. But
I don't either, and I didn't ask you ahead of time.
I know.
I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, wasn't Kip Kinkle from Oregon,
Springfield.
Springfield?
Mm-hmm. I do
And
remember
that was one of the turning points for school shootings. Was Kip Kinkle, and you know, I remember growing up and always having lockdowns and stuff because somebody would call in with a threat, and it went from in the redneck communities, because part of my family lives down in Yoncalla and Drain and stuff, seeing rifles in the back of trucks at high schools, to now all this fear because there's not enough mental health help anywhere, even in Oregon.
Yeah.
There's not. And we're a blue state. We're supposed to be able to have that stuff, right? And without that mental health help, that risk goes higher and higher. And with the divide and the divisive politics going on and the calls for violence,
Yeah.
it's whenever I drive by a school that doesn't have high enough fences, or the playground's in plain view, I'm like, oh, that could be a target. And it sucks having to have that thought process just driving through a town. It shouldn't be like that.
One of the things that we've been seeing over the last couple days, I am making all kinds of noise over here. One of the things we've been seeing, though, is there has been, I don't know, senators, whatever, calling out for the institutionalization of trans people because of mental health conditions. And we've had Jeff Ritchie
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jeff Ritchie on episode 3, he came in and explained the psychological side of it and how it's not really a mental disease. But you have people like Nancy Mace and Ronnie Jackson. There's the senator from Texas. They're calling for the institutionalization of trans people. How do you work with trans people and mental health?
So I've actually been calling out Trump on this one, because he is, doing those I think he signed that executive order for forced institutionalization of the mentally insane, I'm using air quotes,
Right.
homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, who decides if they're to the level of needing to be committed? Who makes that decision? And that goes to anyone, transgender people, people with schizophrenia, attenuated psychosis syndrome, anyone that they deem mentally unfit, they could forcefully put in there. And then when you see that he signed the executive order to limit Section 8 to 2 years, and then he's giving people 60 to 90 days notice that their Section 8 is stopping,
Yeah.
it's going to be a flood of homeless people that are disabled on the streets because they can't afford their rent.
But then lock them up.
Exactly. To me, it's a form of ethnic cleansing. It's eugenics. It's following a certain pattern that a lot of us know pretty well when you're educated on history.
Without calling names out.
Right. That's the pattern I'm seeing.
Yeah. Fair enough. And a lot of people are seeing that pattern, if I can talk right. You had mentioned grassroots efforts earlier. What role is grassroots efforts going to play in your organizing of this campaign?
Honestly, we're poor and we cannot afford to pay people. So everyone that's on the campaign is a volunteer.
Yeah.
Everyone plays a role, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes a week to share a video, couple videos. Like talked about earlier, social media is the biggest reach I have right now.
Right.
Grassroots campaigning, being out there, I've already been in protests. I have been before I was even running for office, going to events, helping people set up, volunteering at events, being out there with the community is one of the biggest forms that I have right now. And we're talking about doing more in-person Q&As, in-person meetups, just out in the community, so we can meet people face to face. And I'm one of those people, my PR manager wanted to go over the questions with me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, well, we can, but I'm still going to have, I'm still going to be me.
Yeah.
I don't like press filtering of candidates or politicians and how they're fake. I
Right.
will always be who I am.
Right.
If I make a mistake, I learn from it, I grow, I move forward in a better way. but I will admit those mistakes, even if I don't make them publicly, because I'm human. I'm not going to pretend to be perfect. I'm not going to put on that fake face. And so grassroots kind of helps keep that accountability because it gives the people direct access to you as a candidate.
Fair enough. We had talked earlier that there are a lot of people that are very active in community support. They're out there actively advocating for different programs and movements, but they're not necessarily active with any kind of party. How do you, and maybe I already asked this, I'm not sure, but how do you get everyday people, young queer folks, people of whatever marginalized community, how do you get them to get involved and make a change with you?
That is a disconnect between, because you can be out there protesting all day, but if you're not getting involved on the political side of that, pushing for legislation, working with legislators, going out and being a voice within, when they have public sessions, if you're not bridging that gap between being an activist and being political in that sense, then nothing's going to change, and you're going to have to come back next season and next season and next season for the same protests and same movements. So I think education is huge when it comes to politics.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that do not understand. They think that, the governor or the president can just change taxes.
Right.
Or that we can give you free housing, or we can give free health care to everybody.
Right.
We can't. That has to go through the legislator. This is what this office can do. This is what this office can do. This is what this office does. This is how you can be involved. And even though I don't like politics. It's a disgusting place to be because there's so much backstabbing and shady stuff going on. So you really do have to have tough skin and know who you are going into it.
Yeah.
But we need people who don't like politics to be in politics, to take
Fair enough.
to take these positions and run for these offices to make it what it needs to be.
Yeah, fair enough. I was on a radio show yesterday on KBOO, and they ended up asking me a question similar to this. How do you work with the communities? They're scared. What do you do with that? And I go, well, fear is based on fear is driven by ignorance, and ignorance is just a lack of knowledge, right? And we're choosing to stay that way. But the best way we can support communities is by educating communities. You had mentioned that you are accountable. You make sure that you keep yourself accountable. How do you keep yourself accountable to communities? I guess it's easy to say I made a mistake in behind doors, whatever. But how do you say it to communities?
I don't fully.
That's fair.
I'm trying to understand.
You had mentioned that like people make mistakes, you make mistakes, we're all human, and whatever, we can own up to those mistakes and move on. And that is, I think, personal, a great thing, but it's easy behind closed doors to just go, hey, I messed up, I need to fix this, and I need to be better and move on. But when it comes to communities, there's communities out there that do get hurt over decisions. So how do you stay accountable to those communities?
Okay, I think I understand now. So I'll use a mistake I made before, and then I'll go into other, because this is a community that I'm a part of.
We're calling you out.
Yeah, this is a community that I'm a part of, and then I'll move into communities that I'm not a part of. So
okay.
It's kind of a two-part answer. So being Native and being a reconnecting Native, I was involved as a child learning jingle dress dance, had ceremony in the home, went to gatherings, and then that stopped when my mom had to work like 2 or 3 jobs to keep a roof over our head. So as an adult, I reconnected, I found my tribe, and in my excitement of this, I posted the wrong DNA chart publicly. And I know. And instead of, they should have came to me and said, hey, this is the wrong chart. Do you have the right chart? Instead, they were very nasty and were like, you're manipulating us. You're lying. And I'm like, nope, I'm not. That was a mistake. I pulled the chart down. I put my actual DNA results up, and then I moved along.
Yeah.
Like, I don't dwell on an aspect. I fixed it. Now I'm moving forward in a better way. The right one's up. You can keep yelling over there, but it was fixed publicly. People can go look and see it. And that's from a community that I'm a part of.
Turns out you're part Mandalorian.
And then we have, now, in my campaign itself, and when I am governor, I'm manifesting, I am putting, like, my PR manager is transgender. And then I have in the Ravens Party, which is a political activism group I have.
Part of Hufflepuff and all that. Not that we're condoning Harry Potter right now.
I have different groups in leadership positions. And if I don't know something or if I make a mistake,
Yeah.
either I can go ask them, hey, did I move forward the right way here? Do I need to change something? Or they come to me and be like, you fucked up. And I'm like, okay, tell me how. Because I don't know. I'm not part of that community. What did I do wrong? How can I fix it? So as governor, I would also have people from different communities in these positions overseeing those communities and then helping guide me so that I can move forward in the right way. That's how I would plan on being held accountable. And my team does hold me accountable. They come to me and be like, dude, what are you doing? You need to take that down.
Fair. Wrong answer. Try again.
Yeah.
Another hot topic that is going through media right now is reproductive rights, right? Women's ability to, or that's probably the wrong word, but people's choice over their bodies, right? Has recently been under attack, but then there's also issues with trans men that still have a uterus and are still able to get pregnant, and some still do. How would you make sure that all of these groups, marginalized groups, get access to that health care that they need?
That would be a part of enforcing the anti-discrimination laws that we have, because if you turn somebody away because they are transgender, simply because you don't agree with the fact that they're transgender or you don't think your medical facilities are for them, that is discrimination. And so that comes along with people, hey, if you're turned away, file a report. Don't be silent about it. It's a two-way street. And if that report's filed, then those people can be held accountable, and those anti-discrimination laws can be enforced to make sure that everybody, transgender people included, have access to that health care that is needed. Because being healthy is, I think, a necessity, not a want.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I like that answer. It seems really inclusive anyway, and just making sure that people aren't being discriminated against in any community. And that's nice, because this isn't a problem necessarily strictly applying to trans people. It's applying to most of the population, I'd say.
I think I've seen it, like, I'm not transgender, but from the outside perspective where I've seen it is in the community. Like, they see a transgender man who is pregnant and they're like, how? You're a man, aren't you? And it's so much hate and disgusting rhetoric towards people that it's like, we can't have that, because that does spill over into the professional spaces. And that's where the hate speech laws would come in as well and be like, dude, you can't make them feel unsafe.
At what point does hate speech laws start infringing on people's right to speak?
I think I did research this. It's kind of a slippery slope. You have to be very careful with how you do it. It's when it incites violence or causes harm. And I do view it as, if somebody doesn't feel safe, you are harming their freedoms. They're preventing them from living. If they're afraid to leave their house, how are they going to go to work? If they're afraid to leave their house, how are they going to shop and get groceries? Not everybody can afford to order in. That's expensive.
Yeah.
And so if you're making them afraid to exercise their freedoms, then you are crossing a line, because then you are infringing on their rights.
I mean, but there's the argument that Trump right now is very much on a campaign about anybody that talks bad about me at all is now an enemy of the state. and they're getting licenses revoked and people being banned from different news medias and such. That's not necessarily a point where they're inciting violence, but this is just somebody shutting down free speech. So in my head, that's another form of hate speech, but it's not necessarily inciting violence. So where do you find that line?
Right. I guess it would probably have to be a case-by-case basis, or, like, if it's a large group doing it. For example, when there was drag queen story time at Old Nick's down in Eugene, and there was a protest from white supremacists, fascists, just hateful people. And they were directly putting fear and the possibility of violence towards the drag queens. So I was part of a counter protest that literally put our bodies in between them and the building. And we did end up chasing them out, which was fantastic. And
You're waving this flag in front of it. Freedom! Jason.
there's a moment that I was up on a cement stand and I had the phone up because I was recording them running away.
Yeah.
And somebody jumped in front of me with an umbrella and you heard pop, 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 pop because somebody shot pepper balls towards me. And I was like, that was good timing. They're
Mary
like, yeah.
Poppins is reflecting on
Yeah. Like that was a moment. I actually got it on camera. I think it's on one of my Facebook pages.
Wow.
But so there when you look at it and you look at it critically, there is a moment where it turns. And it's that moment. You want to stop it before it gets physical and before it takes lives. So you kind of have to always be on your guard about it. And that's also where you have your team hold you accountable. Like, no, that's too far. Don't do that.
Right.
You know, this person may be saying things that it's hurting your feelings. But are you afraid to go out your door? Are you afraid to go to work? Are they standing outside your house? Are they telling people to go hurt you? You know, because having hurt feelings, it's one thing.
Yeah.
And I've had my feelings hurt quite a bit.
Right.
But that's their right. Like, oh, you don't like me? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. As long as they let me live. If they're not letting you live, then that's kind of the line.
Fair enough. One of the biggest complaints that I've heard over time is that people feel that politicians will go, they get into office, and then they forget about the communities that put them there. They get caught up in whatever it is that they are doing, whatever, we'll even say corruption that is happening. How do you make sure that your community's voices, including marginalized voices, trans voices, you know, whatever marginalized group, how do you keep yourself available so that their voices are still heard after you're in office?
This is one of those things where you have to be like, you got to trust me at some point, and you won't know until I'm actually in office. You know, there's no way to tell because nobody can tell the future.
Right.
Like, I know that I'm not going to just disappear. I'm way too stubborn for that, and there's too much going on. There's too much work to be done for me to just disappear into some back office signing paperwork.
I mean, but it's easy to turn around and say, you know, yeah, I'm going to be there for everybody. But I mean, do you have a plan for ways to keep in contact with the communities afterwards?
Actually, we are talking about, which president was it? He actually had an open door policy for community members.
It's all right.
He had an open door policy for community people. Just come in to the White House and talk to him and tell them their problems. So me and my team, you know, there is the gun violence and the assassination attempts and all that stuff we have to worry about now. But being able to have a town hall.
Yeah.
Did you have something you wanted to say?
Oh, I apologize.
Okay. No, you look like you wanted to add in there.
No, go ahead.
He's just thinking about lunch.
I was like, maybe he has a point.
Is there a snack break in here?
You look like
Don't hate me, Bear.
No, I don't mind.
you did the thing I do when I'm talking in my head and like formulating a response where I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be a good thing to say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, maybe. I was like, stop talking so much and let them talk too.
So town halls, though.
Yeah, letting people come in and just, hey, from this time to this time, I'll be here. You know, you can come in and talk to me person to person, one-on-one.
Yeah.
And we'd have to think about the security and logistics of that because I don't want to get shot or stabbed or, you know, but I want to be available. So it is something that we do talk about on my team and how we could, you know, fireside chats or whatever. And they're like, oh, you just go live on social media. You do that anyways. I'm like, that'd be cool. Weekly lives on TikTok and stuff. Just
Weekly lives.
No filter.
It's a soap opera. This week, watch as Brittany comes in and talks to the people.
Yeah, we'd figure something out though to make it so that, like, I'm an introvert, but at the same time I'm doing a job that serves people.
Yeah.
So I have to make myself available.
Yeah.
And finding the safest way to do that, it is in the works, but we won't know what's available until I'm actually in office.
I mean, but that's nice that you're planning ahead and working on that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of trans people out there that are just absolutely scared with the way the politics are going. The world's kind of facing and they're being left behind because, again, the right has been so strongly advocating against trans people. And there's been a silence from the Democratic side because they're so afraid of whatever fallback might come in. What kind of message would you offer to trans people that are in this state of fear?
Well, I can say that, you won't know until I'm in office. You won't, like, what I'm going to do. That sounds foreboding. But
It does. It does. It sounds like, watch me. I'm going to say whatever. We're going to eat cream puffs.
Hold my beer.
It's the right who should be afraid. No, don't be afraid of me. But one of my plans is going back to executive orders. This is something that I could do, is make an executive order enforcing the freedom of speech and saying that transgender people have the right to be transgender and express themselves in that way, and you cannot infringe on that. And with that executive order, it would be able to be enforced more thoroughly, because making Oregon safe in general is important to me.
Yeah.
And while I say in general, there are specific communities like the transgender community, the Mexican community, and the Native community, and the Black community. Okay, I could just go on and on, that are being targeted. And it seems to go in a rotation.
Yeah.
That at any given time, this community is targeted, this community is targeted, or this community is targeted.
Right.
And the leader of the Multnomah County Democrats, the chair, actually, her name's Salome, and she introduced an LAI or a plank, one of those, at the Democratic Party convention to change the wording from minority groups, marginalized communities, to equity priority communities, so that at any given time, whoever is being targeted, they're the priority community right then for equality. Like, they're the equity priority community that needs to be focused on, that needs extra protection, that needs extra resources put their way to make sure they're safe. And I've actually been adopting that verbiage and using it because it makes sense.
Yeah.
At any given time. Right now, Mexicans and transgender people are primarily being targeted. And then that could easily shift back to natives, back to Black people, African Americans, Black people, BIPOC community. There's so many different words that can be said there, so I can be corrected in any number of ways right there. But that could be targeted at any given point. So we need to be able to shift resources and protect those who need to be protected in that time.
Fair enough. A couple quick questions for you. Favorite getaway spot in Oregon?
I don't want to give it away.
Give it away, give it away, give it away now.
Okay, it's out towards Oak Ridge, I'll say that.
Okay.
But I like to go camping out there, and there's this tree that I always bring a rock to. I know that sounds funny, but its roots are kind of exposed, and it looks like it's hugging all the rocks to it. So I always go and add a rock, and I sit with it for a little while, and then...
Meanwhile, you're uprooting the tree. All the rocks.
Oh, God, I never... Okay, I won't put it in the roots. I'll put it around the tree now.
You know, trees grow up and not down, right?
Yes. So it's a tree that I like to go visit. And I'll change how I put the rocks around it now, because now your voice is going to be in my head every time I go visit the tree.
I have that effect on people.
But that's my favorite place, or the coast. The ocean is very healing.
I don't know. There's people outside. There's all kinds of noises.
The ocean is very healing. And, my time when I was traveling for president, I just wanted to, I still haven't been to the ocean since I've been back. And I'm like, I need to get out there. I need to go to the coast, get, free exfoliation from the sand and the wind. And that's how it is. That's the Oregon coast.
You're just rolling around in the sand. It's
You
good
don't
for
even
my
have,
skin.
you don't even have to roll around out there. It just blows and just...
Just blows. Oh my God. Okay, so we got the camping spot with the uprooted tree and the coast where you're rolling the sand. This has been a lot of fun. Go-to karaoke song.
I'm too much of an introvert to do karaoke.
You gotta spend more time around me.
I've done it once when I was drunk, and I don't even remember the song that I sang.
We can make that happen again.
Oh, God. Well, have to talk to Kai about that. Kai, PR manager, they want to get me drunk on stage. I don't think it's a good idea.
Daphne approves it. We're all good. All right. Well, I have just really enjoyed this conversation. Again, thank you so much for coming out. You were the first person that just were willing to come on the podcast for me. And I was just so excited about that because honestly, I saw your TikTok videos and that's where I discovered you. And I was so intimidated to write you guys because I'm like, you have this big political name that's happening, campaign that's happening, and like they have time for me in a podcast that doesn't exist yet. And you guys were so quick to write back and just be like, yeah, we're happy to come on. And it made me feel confident in just reaching out to anybody. And so I've been sending messages to Elon Musk's daughter, Sarah McBride, in the U.S. Congress, all these different people. And it's amazing the amount of big names that I've been getting coming on the podcast. But it started because you guys responded. And so I am just so grateful to have you guys.
Of course, this is like, I feel like it's my cue to be like, I'm just like you. I'm just a person. Like, I'm goofy. I'm weird. I'm I try to be professional when
but
calls
that's Oregon,
for it,
right?
but
Keep Portland weird.
Right.
Portland weird.
Very cool. Very cool. Again, if people want to contact you guys, support your campaign, help with the fundraising, how can they reach out to you guys?
So if you go to any of my social media on Facebook, it's Jones for Governor 2026, TikTok, BJ for Oregon, Instagram, it's a little bit more complicated. It's like Jones, the number 4, OR, Governor 2026, so it's a little longer and more complicated. But my website link is there. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, my email's there. So you can just email. And I answer my emails myself. Or if it's a PR reach out, I'll respond and then I'll also forward it to Kai.
Yeah.
And so I always check my emails every day. Did somebody email me?
It's amazing how good you guys are at responding to TikTok messages too. Kai, so many messages. I was like, can we go to a different platform to do these messages back and forth? Because TikTok is so hard to write people on. But you guys do a really good job at keeping active and keeping contact with different people. So that's been really nice. You guys have all been just an absolute pleasure to deal with. Bear, did you have any other questions?
No, I think we covered everything. We discussed everything. No, I really don't have
everything of the everything is everything in the
everything.
everything.
That's what I was like. I feel like you barely got to speak on this podcast. That's why I was like, do you have something when I was in the middle of my...
It happens a lot.
Yeah, and I'm not shy at all, but I've explained a couple of times that Daphne, this is her wheelhouse. She's very good at what she does, and when she's on a roll and there's good flow,
We bring the butter.
I don't need to interrupt that, and she is so good at keeping the conversation going. I don't interrupt that, and nope.
That's an official term right there. Just we should make a sticker out of that when Daphne's going.
Or you could make the sticker when Daphne's on a roll. Bring the butter.
Well, so
make a T-shirt.
Like two episodes ago, we had a friend of Bear's on the podcast, and his tag.
Old
gamer
internet,
tag.
Old internet chat room screen name.
Yeah, it was Butter.
Butter.
Oh,
And
wow.
so the entire episode, I was giving him such a hard time about Butter. So, like the other day, me and Bear were playing pool, and I ended up texting him during it. I was like, "Hey, I'm on a roll. I need me some butter." Poor guy. I keep bugging him about it. So.
I will say that every Monday we're working on in-person volunteer meetups. So it's for
Cool.
anybody who is volunteering or wants to volunteer. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be posting those meetups on my Facebook because it's easier to create event on
Different
there.
location every time.
There's one this Monday. I don't even know where it's going to be yet, but I know it's at 5.
Please come to the unknown place. If you can find it, we're there.
Diagon Alley.
We're so excited. We don't even know where it is yet.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you got the meetups, you got your different socials. Anything else for ways people can contact you or support you?
We definitely need donations being a grassroots campaign. I heard that Kotek has already contributed over $600,000 to the Democratic Party of Oregon. That is hearsay. I don't have proof of that, but if that's true, that's what I'm up against, and we need to be able to be out there. We can't win a campaign part-time, which means I need to be able to pay full-time staff.
Yeah.
Because it's not fair, especially in this economy, to ask people to give that much time for nothing and not be able to pay their bills. So donations, so I can pay people to be on the team so we can win.
Fair enough. I like it. Is there anything else that you would like to say while you're here?
Don't lift me up on a pedestal. I'm just a regular person, you know?
Yeah.
You can crack jokes, be funny. I'm goofy. I mean, I was volunteering.
This is why we get along.
I was volunteering at a fry bread booth at a powwow, and I tripped and fell on my ass in front of everybody. And I laughed it off like, it happens, you know?
I'm fine. Still okay.
And pardon my language. I know people do not like when I cuss, but I'm like...
But it makes you human.
Yeah.
I was noticing that in one of your TikTok videos, and I was like, this is what I like about you, is you're just so human. Thank you again so much, Brittany, for coming on, giving us the time to just come on, share about it. For anybody else that's wanting to come support Transplaining, they can go to our website, transplainingpodcast.com. If they want to come on the podcast, they can reach out to me at daphne@transplainingpodcast.com, and we're happy to start that conversation. What else is there, Bear?
Don't forget to leave us a comment,
subscribe,
share, and you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram, TikTok. Find us anywhere.
We need to work more on our TikTok and Instagram. I need people that can help me with that, because making reels just takes a long time, and it's a process. Again, Brittany, thank you so much for coming. We wish you the best on your campaign journey. As for the rest of it, I think that's all we got today. So for everyone, thanks for listening, and we'd like to just say welcome to the family.